Hello everybody, thank you for watching our videos. Our journey continues. We are on Holland America cruise line Amsterdam for 31 days around South America through Panama Canal, and I showed you a few videos about Buenos Aires, Montevideo, and great story about Falkland Islands you saw last time and heard last time. And today we will show you the most southerly point in the world, except for Antarctica. And of course you know what it is. We left Falkland Islands, you see it, and we are on our way through the Atlantic Ocean still to the southern point. And this southern point is Cape Horn. We will see the Cape Horn monument as well, not close in the distance. The night before we approached Cape Horn was really rough. Waves were big and ship was rocking. It is the morning of the day when we went around the monument, and you can see that even the water in the pool is wavy, is rocking. I don't know, when saw later somebody was swimming, not just sitting in the pool, swimming. I don't know how can you swim here, but somebody managed to do it. It's an outside pool, and I will show you the pool inside. Look at it. It is even rocking, I think, more. It has more waves. But it was interesting.
Since Magellan's trip around Cape Horn in the early 1500s, sailors have known the area as being one of strong winds and high waves. Sailors call the 40-degree latitude south the furious 40s, and 50-degree latitudes are even worse. We were in the 50-degree latitudes when we went around Cape Horn. In fact, the mid-50s, as you can see here, south 55 degrees. So we were in the middle of of an area known for very rough weather. Actually, when we went around Cape Horn, it was good weather by Cape Horn standards, but good weather there is not good weather. It was foggy, very cold, with strong winds in the 30 and up to 40 knots, and with waves that were significant even for a cruise ship. So if you go around Cape Horn, this is the kind of thing you have to expect. Even in good weather, the weather is actually quite miserable. Now, interestingly, as you go around Cape Horn, you're in a border area between two countries, Chile and Argentina. So as you go from Argentina into Chile, and then as we did back into Argentina, Chile requires that you get a pilot. And you can see here a pilot boat coming toward the cruise ship, a very cool looking pilot boat with a Chilean flag, who brought us the pilot who would take us around the Cape Horn area in Chilean waters, and then actually take us through the Chilean fords the next day up into the port of Ushuaia, which is actually in Argentina. Watching the procedure that they used to get the pilot onto the cruise ship was interesting, as it always is. These people go out in all kinds of weather and they deliver these pilots to ships, and it's an interesting thing to observe, and I'm sure that it's an interesting occupation that they have. Because there really isn't any land mass at this latitude except for extreme southern Australia and Tasmania, the winds that travel around the globe have nothing to interrupt them, no land mass to interrupt them. So the winds and waves are very powerful around Cape Horn, and the weather is such that it has caused throughout history shipwrecks just by the dozens and dozens and dozens. And in fact, we were told that there has been well over 1,000, I think they might have said 1,500 ships lost that they know of around Cape Horn. And it's kind of easy to see why. Cape Horn is the southernmost point of the southernmost island of this archipelago in the south of South America. There are passages through that archipelago, but in the age of sailing ships, they couldn't use those passages because they needed room to tack back and forth against winds that weren't always in their favor. They needed sea room, and so they had to go around the southernmost point. They had to brave this difficult weather, and so they were often driven upon the rocks and wrecked, over 1,000 of them, and 15,000, they think, and that's an estimate, sailors' lives were lost, have been lost, crossing around Cape Horn.
The captain opened the bow of the ship for people to go there for observation of the Cape Horn. But you know, when we approached this entrance, we couldn't understand why people are going in already, why they are coming in, when usually everybody wants to go out, like hundreds of people. And when we went there, we understood why. It was impossible to walk on the deck. It was windy, cold. Anyway, it was not really pleasant, you can see. Only a few people managed to stay for a few minutes, and you just can't do it. And you see, nobody's in the front. Usually people go in the very front of the bow and try to reserve their spot and to watch. And soon the bow was closed because the wind started getting stronger and stronger.
The weather was such that our cruise ship was fortunate to be able to get right up next to the actual Cape Horn itself, which is the southernmost point of the southernmost island, which is part of this archipelago at the tip of South America. This Cape Horn itself actually has humans on it. There is a Chilean Navy family who live here for periods of 1 year, and they are replaced after a year with another family. They live there. They take care of the Chilean naval station, which is there on this point. There is that naval station. There is also a monument which is designed to look like an albatross, which is kind of the animal. There you can see the monument, which is kind of the bird that's well known to sailors who have crossed these latitudes. The monument is designed to look like an albatross and commemorates the deaths of those thousands and thousands of sailors who've been lost at Cape Horn. We were told that exploration yachts, exploration ships, actually take their rubber boats, their Zodiacs, and go and land at this cape and visit with the Chilean family that is there, and you can get a tour of the naval outpost there and the monument. Of course, our cruise ship wasn't really able to do that. We were too large and didn't have the appropriate boats and too many people and so forth and so on. But we were fortunate to be able to get as close as we did and be able to see the monument and see the signs of human habitation and actually see Cape Horn itself.
What can I say? It was a quite experience. Of course, it is not Antarctica, but anyway, it is interesting to realize where you are. Next time we will be in Argentina again. We in the town Ushuaia, and I will show you what you can see there and around of this town. So, I will see you very soon.